Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday night on a Thursday. I'm your host, MCToon, and tonight it's part two of what I started the other night. I was going to talk about this, and I filled the whole time for almost 5 hours talking about the first of two topics. So anyway, and also, yesterday there was an eclipse. The eclipse was predicted to the second by people using globe geometry. Hold on, I'll show you. I have the partially see-through eclipse almanac 2021 to 2030, and right here. So the year is 2026. The date was yesterday was August 12th. Right there. This one down here, look at that. The eclipse that happened yesterday was predicted before this book was printed in 2021. In fact, the copyright here is 2020, but if you actually go to the website by Fred Espenak, the copyright on this particular graphic, the diagram that he made, is 2016. So that 10 years ago, the eclipse from yesterday was predicted to the second, to the location, using the globe. No flat earther can do it. And when you point that out to flat earthers, what do they say? In the chat, tell me, what do they say? Beat me to it. Beat me to what they say. They say that Sorrow Cycles predicts it. Yeah, exactly. It does not. No flat earther has ever looked at Sorrow Cycles. Never. Because if they did, they would notice it's just a couple numbers. It's all it is. It's like these gaps. So this number of days between eclipses. That's it. It doesn't predict location, doesn't predict time. It doesn't even accurately predict the date. It's the approximate date. And it's even worse than that. The eclipse might be in a place where the Earth isn't. It might be like right next to the Earth. So like this one, if you look from earlier this year, February 17, it was visible in Antarctica. You see that? Now that particular eclipse, if it was just a little shifted, then it wouldn't even be over the Earth. Nowhere on Earth would see it. And so eclipses like that are on the borders of what the Sorrow Cycles can predict accurately. So that's it. That's all I can do. They also say two other things commonly. Charlie Welch was hidden by... Hold on a second. Was hidden by icy spin. Wait a second. You goofball, Icy Spin. So Icy Spin is a super mod. But so he can time out Charlie Welch, but I think he's messing with Charlie Welch. Unless this is a fake Charlie Welch, I don't think so. Icy Spin, maybe you can tell me. It's a sock. Okay, if he does it again, you can just hide him because we don't, come on here with a real account and we'll talk. In fact, I will pause my plans for the entire evening if you're a flat earther and you want to bring evidence for flat earth. Everything gets parked and you get to be front and center with your super woke flat earth evidence. Just shoot me an email, mctoon@mctoon.net. Let me check right now, see if anybody sent me an email saying, hey, I need to get on because I got evidence. I did get the Nathan Thompson Brother Ernest one. I'll be doing that next week, probably. Also, I got for the now 1 week from tonight is going to be, I won't be live streaming 1 week from tonight because I'm going to be at, in Woodbury. I'm going to drive up to Woodbury and, have Indian food. It's the meetup. So it's going to be at, what did I say? It's, I put the time, 7:00 in my Discord server, 7:00, India Palace in Woodbury, Minnesota. It's on the east side of the Twin Cities. So you're all invited. Let me know if you're coming so I kind of have an idea. And I got an email from somebody saying he's going, and gotcha. And I got a couple others. I know at least 3 that are talking about going. So everybody else is invited. Might be a long travel for you, but anyway. Also, remember last time we had a Dick Wayne sock account. He said he's not a Dick Wayne sock account. I said, okay, shoot me an email, and make your case for not being a sock account, and I'll not have you get blocked. But he didn't. Sock account confirmed. Happy birthday, Monkey Cat Pat Pat. If anybody knows Monkey Cat Pat Pat, go send him a message on Discord. Send him an email. Call his mom, tell him happy birthday, call his dog, tell his dog to bark happy birthday to him. If he doesn't have a dog, get him a dog, give it to him for his birthday, and then tell the dog to bark at him happy birthday. So there we go. Mushy, thank you, Arnold. Mushy is restreaming me. So if you don't know, Mushy is a severely mentally ill person who does super long live streams of just nothing but pure insults. In decades past, she would be housed in an asylum. The bar to getting people involuntarily housed in an asylum has been significantly raised. It's expensive to house people. Plus, there's issues with human rights and things like that. But certainly, she does need to be in an asylum of some sort. It's sad to see somebody that mentally ill who doesn't have like a full-time carer. She's very much mentally ill. Anyway, so Icy Spin says, take your pills, Holly. Holly would be, she has several names, Sarah, Mushy, Holly. So anyway, Icy Spin says, take your pills, Holly. Icy Spin also says, happy birthday, Monkey Cat Pat Pat. Real Arnold says, hello, or hey, Holly, stop making Jesus sad. Yeah, it's weird. I've talked about this before. Flat Earthers for years have said that the Flat Earth Society is controlled opposition to make Flat Earthers look bad. And my experience with the people at the forums on the flatearthsociety.org and tfes.org are that while they're wrong about the shape of the Earth, they are generally nice people. Of the groups of flat earthers that I've ever interacted with, they are probably the nicest group that I've dealt with, that I've ever interacted with. So if there's any group of people to make flat earthers look bad, they are the bottom of the list of making them look bad. The top of the list of making flat earthers look bad would be the ones that are mentally ill. John Puckett, Victor Crute, Holly, Sarah Mushy, right? Tarot, also severely mentally ill. And the people then that also by proxy support them and don't say, hey, what are you doing? You should stop it. You're making flat earthers look bad. So Gakushi also is like, hey, what do you think? Like he wants to get into her pants is how he's talking to her. Gross. But anyway, so that's the first tier of people that make flat earthers look bad. So yeah. Oh yeah. Stephanie Thailand also severely mentally ill. Tons of sock accounts and pretending like they're not sock accounts. And I thought, what do you mean? That's not me. It is. You don't even try to talk different. It's you just copy paste the same garbage. So anyway, Brenda says, oh yeah, also Brenda's in the Twin Cities area. I know it might be a bit of a challenge for transportation for you, but Woodbury is in the Twin Cities. Brenda says, anyway, Brenda says Sav was crying about the eclipse tonight. Of course, Of course, no flat earthers ever predicted the eclipse. I didn't get, I'll come back around to it in a second here about the other two things that flat earthers commonly talk about, claim predict eclipses, but don't. Jack Fetter says, why is QUp sleeping in the thumbnail? QUp is always sleeping. Whenever you use AI and you say, here's a picture of QUp, put him in this situation, AI always makes him sleep. I don't know why. I think AI just knows about QUp. So also, that reminds me, I am contractually obligated to promote QUp, right? He pays me every month to, let me see what the contract is. I'm getting off. You know what I should do? I should write myself a stack. Eclipses. Right there, eclipses, right? There's one. I'll put it right there on my screen. We got meetup. Got that on my screen there. We got monkey cat pat pat. Birthday. There, we got that. And we got super chats. Okay. Then I won't forget. And then whatever the topic is, I'll get around to that eventually. Okay. So the super chats. Why is QUp? So the topic right now is QUp. So QUp, I'm contractually obligated to promote QUp, and I need to make sure I get the verbiage right. Let's see, the invoice for August for QUp is there it is. Okay. Invoice is I am contractually obligated to say that QUp is okay. Let me get this off the screen. It's right in front of my face. You don't want that in front of me. All right. QUp is the best flurf on the globe. And let's see. He is debunker to flurf crossover traffic routing. I got to do some ego maintenance retainer. And anyway, so and there's a he's the premier flat earth thought leader. But there's also some some advertisements that he wants me to sprinkle in every once in a while. This will be a new thing starting in September, but I'm giving him a little preview to see how he likes it and see how much we can negotiate price on this. So here we go. Here's a placement ad for QUp.
Subscribe to Keep Go Pip.
There you go. Subscribe to Kiko Pip. See what he likes. See if he's good at that. His beatboxing is something else, I gotta say. Okay, pop the stack on Kiko Pip. We got JSS Tiger says, is WitSpit's neo-taconic model, or in WitSpit's neo-taconic model, how does he justify the massive sun orbiting the Earth but dragging along all the other planets? What magic does this? That is exactly what I'm covering. That's why I was late, because I was going through that stuff. So that's why I started a little bit late. Stop the Stupidity 1 sent 5 memberships. Thank you very much. And if you received one, make sure you thank Stop the Stupidity 1. Jack Fetter says, I just assumed being a cocky virgin was exhausting. Jack Fetter loves Kiko Pip. And now, credit where it's due. Apparently, Mushy, who Mushy it doesn't call him Kiko Pip, calls him Kiko Poop. So that's kind of funny. Officially, I am contractually obligated to not like that. But I mean, you're allowed to, because you don't have a contract with him to promote him as the best flat earther on the globe. Okay. Let me get, that's that. Okay. So Brenda Crate says, QUp's beatbox is better than Nathan's rap. Okay, so I was also, I had a hot date tonight, with my wife. We went out, and so I got back. I didn't have as much time as I was hoping to prep, so I got to do a little last minute prepping. I hope you don't mind. So let's see here. Why it should be that. Did I mention it's Monkey Cat Pet Pet's birthday? That's not the right thing. Why is that not the right thing? It's supposed to be that. It's supposed to be stage. That's not the stage. It's not doing the right stage. Oh, I know why. I have two of them running. That's it. So, yeah, I got a little bug in that program. I gotta fix. But I'm a programmer, so I can fix it. There it is. Okay, see, look at that. There it is. The Hubris Valley Ranch. So this is like the leftovers from last time. Whoever made those, well done. Well done. That is hilarious. Fat Urfer says, I'm a sock, but I'm a good sock. Wrench, please. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we'll see how you do. Okay. So what we're going to be going over is the presentation, that he did on Monday night. That it wasn't a presentation really, as much as it was a as just talking, and then he was presenting. Actually, he was showing off his new flat Earth model, and so we're going to go over that. I have analyzed it. I've looked at the source code. He published it on the website. So I mean, how awesome is that? Also, remember, he did go to Antarctica, right? He did go to Antarctica.
If I went and I saw the sun go around me 360 for 24 hours, right? Like I'd be like, okay, this matches the globe. It doesn't match the flat Earth.
Oh, yeah. He would say that, except he didn't say that. He never, for some reason, he just doesn't, he lies a lot. He does. Okay. So, where did I put it? There it is. No. Derpy face. Deleted comments. Debate with Blitz citation. Coping on Discord. Saying he's leaving. Nope. Where did I put that somewhere? Where did I put it? I have where? Oh yeah. He's like, I'm gonna go back to streaming every day. Like, how many times has he said that? This was from April 17. He said he was gonna stream every day, and then this was the result. Like, he didn't. Oh, so funny. All right, I'll play this while looking.
In a world. Alright. Oh, hey, guys. Long time no see. I'm not even going to share to a group. Who cares? So I'm going to give you all a little update. Right now, we are at the shop getting the RV fixed. And supposedly it's going to cost like $800 to get the RV fixed with the alternator and all this other stuff. So to replace the alternator and then the labor is like $800. So we're trying to figure that out, and we're getting them to work on it now. So if anyone wants to make sure that the RV keeps going across the United States and feels inclined to help, no better time than now when we have to come up with $800 to keep the RV moving. And majority of the donations that were sent on behalf of the entire tour are, let's just say, MIA. And so if you donated money earlier, you know, I hate to say it, but if you didn't donate it to me, then, you know, we aren't.
Yeah, if you donated to Nathan.
And so, it's, you know, if you want to help with the tour expenses, you have to send it to me, frankly. You have to. So now you get it. Yeah, it is what it is. So there you go. If you feel inclined to try to help the RV keep it pushing, it's literally right over there. I'll show you in a second. Then, what's it, part-time mail, PayPal, with $, with tickets to the Cash App. So now we got that covered. What's up, everybody?
Yeah. So there's that. Okay. Yeah, $800 alternator. This was on, just, you know, this was on Chris's RV. So Chris is a guy that I think WitSpit kind of took advantage of. And Chris drove WitSpit all around the country, and at the end had some negative money to Chris that WitSpit owes him. WitSpit owes Chris money from the tour. Now, when was the tour? The tour was before he hooked up with Kai. Since then, they hooked up. He got her pregnant. They had a ceremony. They didn't get legally married. They had issues. They had another kid. He spit in her face, went to Antarctica, got really aggressive with her several times, and gone. And still hasn't paid back Chris. Still hasn't paid back Chris. What a guy. What a neat guy he is. Okay. So, how are we doing? $800 alternator. It's an I don't know. It's an RV, and my guess is that they're on the road and they didn't have the ability to fix it themselves. And I don't know how easy an RV is to fix or not. If you're going to do it yourself, I mean, I would try to replace an alternator myself, but I'm not good at that kind of stuff. My kid is. My goodness, who taught him? It wasn't. He learned it on his own. I did not. He did not get it from me. Tori Hanzos has got to show my support. Thank you, Toon, for the entertainment. You're very welcome. I saw your message. I'll get back to it. It's a good question. The answer won't be awesome, but I'll get your answer. Jack Better says, care of WitSpit, P.O. Box, Mom's basement. No, it's not Mom's basement. It's the attic, right? He takes after his good buddy Mark Sargent, who also lives in the attic of his mom's house. So, okay, here we are on the Discord server, and we're gonna jump in. Hopefully, get not too much fluff.
Hey, so just to give you an update, Pazza pulled it all apart earlier. I mean, to me, this is not like some huge I'm not.
Oh yeah, they're talking about the again, confused about the telemetry data from the camera. If you don't know, he got a GoPro to bring to Antarctica. It embeds the GPS location of where the camera is while recording video or pictures. That's it. Not when it's off. But they don't get that. They just think it's a 24/7 logger, and they don't understand. There's none of them. Not a single one of them are smart enough. Even when Austin says it, Austin misses it, that if it's not recording, it's not going to do it. So he didn't record in Santiago. He's like, how come it doesn't show that I was in Santiago? Because you didn't record with it when you were in Santiago, you idiot.
Thing in my mind. But did you turn the camera on at all? Like when you packed and left Florida, did you turn it on like anywhere on the trip at all, or did you just have it off the whole time?
It was on most of the time.
Oh, okay.
It was not.
It was on.
But like a lot of the time that we were flying, like I didn't just keep the GoPro. Like when we were flying like across South America for 22 hours or whatever, you know, like I would just occasionally film a part of it maybe. But Jaron was like,
not maybe. He didn't take out his GoPro and film during the plane ride.
Filming everything, and I'm like, all right, dude, you got it. But yeah, I mean, and then when we actually got to South America, I filmed a little bit more, and then I put there's like a...
Again, he didn't have his GoPro out in South America. He used his phone for stuff, but not the GoPro.
Strap. There's like a thing that goes around your chest where then the GoPro can strap to it. You know what I mean? So it just like sits on your chest. So I did that, and I filmed a decent amount at that point, like getting on the plane, stuff like that, but it was like periodically on and off. Out of the whole group of people, my GoPro was on probably the least, for sure.
and that's why they really should all send me their raw files because I have the extractor.
My raw files are posted on my website. You can go get them yourself, Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, are you
I was
willing
just asking-
to
hold
send
on,
your raw files
let me
to
just
someone
follow up.
else?
He already sent
Yes.
them. He posted them in here. They're in the Antarctica channel below. He posted them all in here.
No, I'm not asking of that. I'm asking if you could send the SD card or whatever card you put in your GoPro, so that the raw files can be another person can retrace your step and extract another file to actually verify or establish up against your file whether first and foremost if it's credible. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to be pulling.
Okay, so this is Synac. We talked about it before. The Synac is asking for the camera to be given to him. Like the data's on the SD card. The SD card has been removed from the camera. Anyway, I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. Oh, also, yeah, he paid $300 for the software that you can just get software for free that does it. Just Google telemetry extractor. You'll find it on GitHub for free. All right, we're going to jump past where... I'm going to try to get past where it is Synac and where they're talking about the GoPro.
You know what I mean? But I definitely had the video on the GoPro on at times on the plane because I think it's like I got a license that I can give other people. I talked to him last night.
So I'm not interested. I'm not interested in you opening something that you've already plotted out.
Oh yeah, Synac he just can't get over himself. He doesn't believe WitSpit's. He doesn't believe that we went to Antarctica, and he's a glober. He's just a contrarian douchebag, can't stop talking kind of guy. All right, he's still in there. All right, I'm looking for when he's not in there anymore. He's still there. Oh my gosh, come on, get over yourself. Let's see where they're at here.
Got it showing us out in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, well,
In Google Earth.
Okay. Okay, no. So you can do
But
it. I wonder how legitimate this interior data is, but I guess in theory it could be right.
You know, what's the satellite guy from Amazon? What's his name?
OYINA.
Oh. No, a big cock, a chicken?
There's like a hole right into. I told it to do 80 degrees.
Okay.
So.
Oh, okay.
All right, now we're getting to his model.
He's not bringing any swords, is he?
I don't know anything about the guy.
Yeah, what do I have to do to get invited? What do I have to do to get invited to DebateCon? Do I have to be a part of some child sacrifice or something? Or how do I get in on it?
Can't hurt.
You up.
You'd have to probably actually be good at debating. And...
Bro, I've been killing it, dude. Keep up.
Okay.
I'm stealing all your arguments.
Just saying, if you're good at debating,
Q up.
debate publicly against other people
Q up's adorable. He thinks he's good at debating. I mean, he's the best flirf on the globe.
and do good for a while, they'll ask you to go.
I'm 2-0, dude. I destroyed MCToon last time I was on his channel on interferometry. It was
Oh
crazy.
my gosh.
I'm a flirt leapfrogged you last night on FTFE, so you're going to have to work hard to catch back up.
Hey, what's that? A big hole in the earth at the North Pole or what?
Well, this is a satellite image. I mean,
I'm a flirt on
How does it
FTFE
go?
last night.
But yeah,
Through
this has
the
like
middle or around?
Okay, so this is his model. It's a website. There's a website for this that he's published. It's what we're going over. It's the source code that I've looked at.
yeah. There's like a hole right into. I told it to do 80 degrees. Just
So
arbitrary.
what? 80 degrees north. There's a hole.
No, that's
so
just where that's just where the torus field would be.
Yeah, the yellow lines are not
That's where the Taurus field would be.
Satellite tracks? Oh, okay.
No,
No,
but
that's just the field they're in.
Oh my
blue
god, what a
line-
research.
the blue line is the satellite track, right? So it's way wider than 80 degrees. But the
Okay,
point is that
What field is
it would
this?
be the center of the.
there we go. All right, so this perfect spot here. The Taurus field of flat Earth. Now, he has rejected since Antarctica the Gleason map. But now he's back on the Gleason map. He went for the bipolar map for a few days, and now he's back to the Gleason map. And why is he back to the Gleason map? Well, because he thinks that Joe Hanvey has a model that works. He does not. There's multiple problems with Joe Hanvey's model that even the most cursory examination would show up. So we took a photograph of the sun every minute for 24 hours. Every single minute. So when the sun was due north, we saw the sun, okay? And then it moved this direction, which is the opposite of the North Pole, right? And then it was around due south of us. 12 hours later. Every single minute we took a photograph of it. So if when we're looking due north, we're looking at the non-reflected sun, and 12 hours later, they say we were looking at the reflected sun, when did the non-reflected sun and the reflected sun swap? Because we didn't miss 1 minute. Every single minute was swapped. Was there a 60-second window where it blinked away and then the new one swapped in that was actually the reflection? That did not happen. Ridiculous, number one. Number two, we looked at the sunspots. Austin knows this. The sunspots were never mirrored. Reflections are mirrored. It can't be a reflection. It's not mirrored. Number three, Jaren, in Austin's presence, used a magnifying glass to burn paper. You cannot burn paper using a reflection of the sun like that. It doesn't work like that. And number four, Dave McKeegan tested for polarization. He brought a polarizing filter. He looked at the sun at when it was in the south half, and it was not polarized. And then he looked at the sun reflected off of a glass window, and it was polarized. So that's what a reflection does. It polarizes the light. So those four reasons, it could not be reflecting off of the dome. There's more, but that's what I'll leave with. So, but now he's back, but he's back to the AE map, because there it is. There's the AE map, the dome. But this is incorrect even for his model, because there's no toroid. There's no magnetic field toroid over the Earth that looks like that if it's the Gleason map, because the south magnetic pole is not where it would have to be. Let me show you. Right? So if this is the magnetic field of the Earth, this is the pole, right? This is the north side of the pole, and this is the south side of the pole. That's how a magnetic field works if you look at it as a toroidal field. But that's not where the South Pole is on this map. On this map, the South Pole is the South Magnetic Pole is, somewhere like that, north of Antarctica, south of Australia in the ocean. So this toroidal field that he put here is not anything in any way related to the magnetic field of the Earth over this very map. It can't be. It's already wrong. But he loves it. He can't get over it. He can't get enough of it.
Is this a magnetic field, an electric field?
Very good. Both are the same.
There's seemingly a magnetic field, yeah.
There's seemingly a magnetic field, yeah. There is a magnetic field, but as I said, it doesn't. But he doesn't give a damn. He cares nothing about truth. He doesn't want to be right.
So how does the magnetic field influence non-magnetic items?
Everything is on a sliding scale of magnetic, you newbie.
Yeah, except that aluminum is like non-magnetic, basically.
So everything is on a sliding scale. Very good, QOP. Well done. You are the best Flurf on the globe. The problem is that there are some things that are paramagnetic and some things that are diamagnetic. So things that are diamagnetic are repelled by a magnetic field, and things that are paramagnetic are slightly attracted by a magnetic field, and things that are ferromagnetic are strongly attracted by a magnetic field. And yep, they all vary. And you would be able to measure that if that magnetic field was causing things to move. So if you're going to say that the magnetic field is making satellites move, because that's where he's getting in a lot of this, then you're going to say, well, satellites are primarily aluminum, and NASA Shill is a glober here, and he's talking about the magnetic field and talking about aluminum. And so yes, aluminum is slightly paramagnetic. It's not much. Or is it diamagnetic? It resists a changing field because of eddy currents. I don't know what it is normally, but anyway. But Austin thinks that the magnetic field is rotating, and he shows this in a second here. But magnetic fields don't rotate. They don't. He thinks they do because Ken Wheeler's put magic words around it, and he's dumb and he believed it. But if there were, if there was a rotating magnetic field on the Earth that was causing motion, then yes, there would be an induced acceleration on everything that's aluminum or copper or things like that get eddy currents in them when you have a magnetic field. Things that are ferromagnetic would be attracted to it, so they would just they would accelerate toward the North Pole if it was causing things to do that on that scale, which obviously it's not, because they don't, right? So things that are paramagnetic would be slightly attracted to it. Things that are ferromagnetic would be strongly attracted to it. And things that are diamagnetic would be pushed away from it. And if it's moving, the eddy currents would move it both laterally because the magical rotating, it doesn't do that. But if it was, it would be moving it laterally and repelling it. So things that are made from lead would be pushed to the south in the direction that he thinks the field is going. I think he thinks it's going east to west. So you'd see this acceleration there. You don't. This simply doesn't happen. NASA Shill says, NASA Shill's right here in the chat. Science calls aluminum paramagnetic, meaning it has a tiny unnoticeable pull near very strong magnets. Yeah, not unnoticeable, right? It's enough to measure, but yeah, you're right. It's a small amount. So they don't get that, though. I mean, QOP doesn't know what that means. Mystery Man says you spelled nipple incorrectly. N-pole? What? Where did I didn't spell it anywhere. What are you talking about? WitSpit's requires a 4-color pictographic instruction manual to find its own pole. AT2 Production says aluminum is predominantly paramagnetic, but with strong enough magnetic fields, it gets funky. Yeah. They use in roller coasters, they use aluminum and strong magnets to slow down roller coasters. They have fins. This is really cool. You ever go like at Valley Fair? They have the Steel Venom. Steel Venom is a roller coaster that goes forward and up, and then it comes back through the station and then backwards, right? And what's in the back, it goes straight up. When it goes forward, it twists. This is a common one that's not unique to Valley Fair. I've seen it in Chicago, the one near Chicago, Six Flags. They have one there. It's called a different name. But to slow it down, rather than have it clamping brakes, which would have pads that wear, they do have those. But to take away a large portion of the speed, they have these aluminum fins that stick down with magnets on either side. And so then they just charge up the electromagnets, and it has a magnetic field between them, and the aluminum goes through and it slows it down. It's really cool to watch and to think about how that works. I don't know about you, but I stand there in line looking at the roller coasters, figuring out how they work. So, okay.
Okay, what are your atoms made of? What are your atoms made of?
You're attracted to magnets?
You don't even get the. If you come down here, model it uses rotational inertial field. So it uses the inertial forces that you're.
The inertial forces. Oh, yeah. Sorry, you didn't see. It uses the inertial forces. He's like, you idiots! It uses the inertial forces. What inertial forces are you talking about? He doesn't know.
Your own model admits in relational electrodynamics, which
is a fringe book by a fringe author with zero empirical confirmation. But listen how he talks about it.
Your own relational electrodynamics. What's that?
Yeah, I said like Andreas Sees when he in relational mechanics.
Andreas Sees, right.
Yeah. You know, like the very respected professor that wrote an entire book called Relational Mechanics. That's like
he's not very respected. He's a fringe nutter. He is, best I can tell, he's a geocentrist. And people don't respect that. There's no scientists that respect geocentrists. I'll get to it in a second here. I'll be doing actual math.
Like well respected. Yeah.
You wrote about orbital mechanics? No?
In that, yes, he did actually. Yeah. So in that book, he shows the dynamic equivalence, and his whole point is like utilizing his relational mechanics. Not only is there a Newtonian equivalence, which was already known, but there's also a relativistic dynamic equivalence, and he shows that this would also explain like obviously he's a glober, so he said it would explain even the oblateness, the flattening of the poles, and then it would also explain the pendulum because there would be a dynamic equivalence, and that the
so you know, he proposes this it's a hypothesis, a perfectly fine thing to do in science. He has a hypothesis, and Austin reads a hypothesis that he likes and doesn't care if there's empirical evidence for it. He just agrees with it. Therefore, it's good.
force would be akin to electrodynamic forces. So I just told the model to use that model as a base, like only actually using electrodynamics as opposed to claiming that it's just this relativistic magic world.
Yeah. So none of the motion of the Earth in the solar system is necessarily using relativistic forces. You don't need to. Right? He's like, I just told it to do that instead of relativistic. What do you mean? You just use Newtonian physics. That's all you need.
But that's still globe. Like his work, as I understand it, is still globe based.
Yeah, but that's why
you told Claude just make it flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So he just told Claude make it flat,
and it did. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
I learned tonight. It can have some tricks up its sleeve.
I haven't fact checked all the math or anything. So, and this is not Claude. This is
he hasn't fact checked all the math. You know what he didn't do? He didn't fact check any of the math. When he looked at what any of these other geocentric globers said, because Austin can't do math.
Manus. Right, Manus is way better than
you told the AI to make it flat.
All right. NASA show is over talking to him there. Austin just said Manus is way better than Claude. So if you don't know, Manus is an AI platform that you can do things with, and he's used Manus to make this app. It's a web app, and he said Manus is way better than Claude. And that reminds me of when I had a debate like a year ago with a guy who is like, he was dissing on ChatGPT and dissing on Claude, and people in the Q&A. This was on Sarah the Raging Tomatoes channel, and people are like, oh well, what AI, what LLM do you like? He's like, oh, well, I like Perplexity. That's my favorite one. Like, I would only use Perplexity because it's the best LLM. Perplexity is just a front end to other LLMs, primarily ChatGPT and Claude. Manus is just a front end to other LLMs, primarily Claude. It uses a customized version of Qwen. Qwen is an open source Chinese model. It uses a customized version of Qwen to basically as the controller, and then it sends the queries to Claude. So Austin, you used Claude. Like, oh, Claude, this is way better than Claude. As if he's ever done any app development with anything serious.
And it did, and therefore it's flat, right?
I didn't say that. Oh. But what's interesting about the Claude one is it does use the proper like stationary Earth inertial forces, where you have like twice the magnitude of the Coriolis force, which would be like a radially inward accelerative force, right? It does use the proper equation for that. But yeah, I mean, you're just going to transform it to a plane, right? I mean,
so there it is. So he uses a globe. He just said it, right? Uses a globe and then transforms it to a plane, and the warps it, projects it. The real word is project. It's a projection. So all of the math and the computation is done internally using a globe, and then he just does a projection to an arbitrary map. He chooses the azimuthal equidistant map centered at the North Pole, also called the Gleason map. This one here, right? He used this one here that he, after Antarctica, said isn't the model, but now it's the model again. That is not how you represent reality. That's a projection. You don't, if the Earth is flat, you don't use a projection. You use a non-projection. If the Earth is a globe, if the Earth is flat and you're representing it flat, you don't use a projection. That'd be silly. If the Earth is a globe and you're using a sphere, it's not a projection. So this is not a projection of the surface of the Earth. This is a scaled version of it, a 1:x scaled version of it. If you're going to take this and put it on a flat surface, then you need to project it. This fundamental thing Flurfs can't even get. They're so brain dead and desperate, they can't even get that. AT2 says, the proprietary AI that I have access to at work uses Sonnet 4.6. What? Why an older one like that? I mean, 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, they're pretty good. For work stuff, I use primarily 4.8. So anyway, so the point of this is, of course, he is pimping the geocentric model. So he's talking about a CESES model and going over, say, you know, computing everything, and then just at the last minute, after it's done all of the internal computation, after it's done all of the stuff that a CESE did, he does a projection to flat Earth. That's not how reality works.
I mean, there are a couple tricky parts of it. Here, I'll show you.
He's going to show us.
Hey, look at this. I don't know what this means.
He doesn't fit the model to the data, right?
Because what I actually want to do, I just wanted to be able to look at any satellite at any time. And while we were doing that, I'm like, yo, just put a portion where you can flip between the different dynamics, show a visualization of a torus field. This is just going to show the geometry. I think it even puts a disclaimer down here where it's like, these images are retained as visual references alongside the independent data layer. Curve resemblance alone does not establish a field mechanism or validate a model.
Oh.
This is just a visual representation of the torus field.
So it's not a model.
I told it to add a function where you can like toggle on and off the rotation of a torus field. That's what it would be doing, right? It would be rotating while the satellites go within that. But anyway, what would be cool is to actually create like an interactive like electric universe model. And having this as like the orthographic view.
Yeah, using the globe, of course.
And then having like the different galaxies mathed out dynamically with magnetism, where you could take the
galaxies are somehow let's be clear. He's saying the galaxies that are millions of light years distant are being moved by magnetism. Magnetism, which has an inverse cube relationship, not an inverse squared relationship. No, it's not. It doesn't. Anyway, it still leaves them millions of miles away. It doesn't put them close. So you can't map it out magnetically to flat Earth. It doesn't project there.
Claim visible mass, and then just make the coherency proportionate to that, so you wouldn't have to have dark matter or any of that other fake fairy tale nonsense you guys believe in. And then I want to have like
and he's going to replace that with even more made up nonsense stuff. That's what he doesn't get. All of the stuff that he's doing is just globe based, but it's just the motivation of the people he's citing is different from his motivation. Their motivation is just making the Earth not move, but leaving everything distant. Right? They're still doing the same thing. They're starting with conclusion and forcing everything to fit. The wrong way to do things. But it still contradicts flat Earth. He is a globe geocentrist.
Right.
Yeah, the thing that exists all the way and all the geometry that exists in all scales. yeah.
Right. The torus field that causes satellites to move. Does torus field cause the satellites to move or not? I don't understand.
Well, the torus field would have a vortex that's rotating. That rotation would create inertial forces. So if you
No. Magnetic torus fields do not rotate and do not cause forces like that. And if they do, they would not cause them to go in and out. Right? So he I think he'll show us in a little bit some of these.
If you put a satellite up in that, then it would just continue to move.
What about counter-rotational satellites? Like, you know.
Good question. We have magnetic fields that have rotations and counter rotations, so maybe they're...
We have magnetic fields that have rotations and counter rotations. We have no magnetic field with rotations, nor counter rotations. But so earlier in this conversation, it had been brought up the fact that Israel launches satellites, some of their own satellites, the opposite direction as everybody else's satellites. The reason is because of where they're positioned. They can't launch to the east because of where they're at. They only have water to the west. So if they're going to launch from Israeli soil, they have to launch to the west so that it doesn't go over populated areas. Specifically, like areas of population that don't like Israel and would take it as a threat or might shoot it down. So if you're going to take If you're going to claim that a satellite moves because of a rotating magnetic field, I didn't mean to say it twice, then you can't have satellites going the other directions. It can't. And you can't have inside of that one field, another field going the other direction. That doesn't work either. And it wouldn't cause it to go in and out. So many problems.
They have different placement than the other satellites that would allow them to have a counter rotation.
It's just a different polarity.
Name a specific one.
It's just a different polarity. Yes, the aluminum that they use is the other polarity of aluminum.
And I'll put it in here and we'll map it out and see. But based on the next update, as long as I don't run out of credits, I'm not going to spend like hundreds of dollars to build this thing, dude. But like
the next update, he's going to type in one sentence to it and then have it do the work for him.
Yeah, as long as it finishes the next update, you should be able to just look up any satellite that is being tracked live.
Can you give us a link for this?
Yeah, I dropped it in the thing.
And I'm assuming with this, then your position is that the Coriolis, like you believe it's a real force, but the effect that we observe, it isn't like an actual thing, right? There's something that's pushing hurricanes away from the equator, all that stuff. Yeah, but I'm saying I think his model is a real force, but like things like saying we don't have like long distance, whatever they are, the artillery doesn't have to account for Coriolis or whatever. You would agree that they do have to account for it. It's a real force that has to be accounted for, right?
Not really.
No, I'm pretty
for WitSpit.
No, I don't have like a definitive position on that.
But why, like, if all of the fictitious forces are converted to real forces, then why would you not have a definitive position on it?
Doesn't mean they're all real.
It would just, even if it was real,
Like you can't take a fictitious force in one model. You can't take a
Oh, he got tired. He got flustered. He can't answer.
fictitious force in one model, and then say this other transformation makes all those real, and then just decide you want to like drop a few of them.
I didn't hear anyone say Coriolis was needed. Like what?
So he did, in fact, Austin did address Coriolis. He talked about the Foucault pendulum. Foucault pendulum is Coriolis. That's what it's showing. So we already did claim that it covers Coriolis. How does it cover Coriolis? Magic. Because number one, there is no rotating magnetic field. You could measure it. You could just go point to the measurements of the rotation. You've got none. Number two, what direction would a rotating magnetic field cause lead to move, and what direction would it cause iron to move? Opposite directions. It would have to cause them to go opposite directions because one is ferromagnetic and one is diamagnetic. Does that happen? It does not. Does it happen to plastic? It does not. Everything, all matter, whatever material you use has the same Foucault pendulum properties. So it can't be related to magnetism.
So I'm looking at his demo right here. I'm looking at his demo.
It has a assuming an inertial Earth lab frame, you can just describe the motion using real forces.
If you say they're real forces, then you should be able to just say, yes, I think they're real forces.
I can't say anything. Okay, all right, can we calm down a little bit? So this is just a fact, right? If we have a rotating universe...
Oh, if it's a fact, if Austin says it's a fact, it's probably not a fact.
Like this is Earth shape independent. Like if the Earth's not moving, if the universe is rotating around it, it's going to generate real inertial forces.
No, it's not. That is a hypothesis that somebody had that has never been empirically confirmed. It is an assumption that you love, and so you want it to be true so bad that you declare it to be true.
Right. Like this is just... this is just a basic physics.
No,
It
it's
would be like you just-
here's how bad he is at physics. He thinks that's actually physics. He thinks it's really mainstream accepted physics that if you got a physics book and you looked it up, that the rotating universe would cause these forces. No, that's not anywhere. That's just in nuttery.
How?
How does the rotating
How-
universe
the angular
influence
momentum
the-
of an accelerating frame generates inertial forces.
It does?
You didn't know that?
No, it doesn't.
Or what? How does
No.
the rotating?
Okay.
How does the rotating frame cause the force?
You can take a stick with a string attached to a ball, and if you start spinning the ball, do you agree that the reason the ball keeps spinning around the stick is because of the string?
Yes. But if you're not the ball, if you're near the ball, if you're inside the curve of the ball, you're outside the movement of the ball, you don't feel anything. That's what he's saying. He's saying that the entire universe rotating will cause things that are not rotating with it to have a force imparted on it. And the string, he's talking about the string, right? The string will pull toward the center to the ball. The ball, the centrifugal force of the ball will pull it out. He's claiming, this is the craziness, that inside the universe, when things move around the universe, that the string part of the centripetal acceleration is applied to everything inside of it. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. He actually thinks that's real physics.
Yes or no?
Yeah, there's a string attached to it, but
Okay.
the universe,
If I cut the string, what happens?
But right, go straight. No, but how does the
Okay,
rotating
so why
universe?
calm down. Why does it go straight?
Well, basic physics, because it's no longer.
Oh, it's basic physics is a sufficient answer all of a sudden. That's funny.
Well, no, I mean,
So-
you cut the string, it no longer has the centrifugal force. No longer
The centripetal force. Okay.
centripetal.
So the centrifugal force is why it has a tendency outward. The string is counteracting that, keeping it in a rotational accelerative frame. Right.
So your strings attached to us, or what?
No. Did you not understand that? Like in your paradigm, the string is supposedly gravity. The net force is a Rayleigh inward accelerative force. Just go Google it, and what it'll tell you in your own
So
paradigm.
how does that work in your
Fill
universe?
out.
Wait, a Rayleigh, what did he say? A Rayleigh what force?
String is supposedly gravity. The net force is a Rayleigh inward accelerative force. Just go.
A Rayleigh inward accelerative force. I don't know if I've heard those words before. I don't have a position on it. It's unfamiliar to me. Rayleigh inward accelerative force. There is, since the centripetal force of the string is inward, but I don't know about this Rayleigh. It sounds like, yeah. Hold on. Rayleigh inward accel force. It's the Rayleigh inward accelerative force. Okay, this is real. Refers to the hydrodynamic force that drives particles or fluid layers inward toward the axis of rotation in a rotating system under specific stability conditions. Okay, so that's where you have a fluid. Hold on. Fluid, constant area duct. Rayleigh flow. Okay, so it deals with fluids. It looks like. Okay, so you need a fluid. What's the fluid? Right, so you'd probably have in there. You'd have like the viscosity causing the actual fluid to move. If you had like a bucket, and you had water in it, you started rotating the bucket. Initially, the water inside of it is not going to move with it, but the water on the very outside is going to start moving because of the viscosity between the bucket, or the friction between the bucket and the water. And then the water, the first layer of water, and the inside layers of water, not layers really, but this is calculus now, have a viscosity of the water. And so as it moves, that's going to induce movement on the rest of the water, and it's going to be flowing. So, wrote no last name says, obviously it utilizes an oscillating turbo encabulator. Probably, yeah. So, okay. So I'm guessing that he's thinking that there's an ether. Ether solves everything. Just whatever you need, just say it's ether. Solves everything. He's probably going to claim that it's ether that's causing this. So let's get this clear. Ether is causing the Coriolis force to have things shift to laterally. Also, it's causing the inward accelerative Rayleigh force toward the middle when the entire universe rotates. How is that happening? No idea. Whatever it needs to do is what ether does. It's a busy thing. Very, very busy. Okay, anyway, it is of course not mainstream physics, not understood, not basic physics. NASA Schill was correct there in calling him out that it wasn't, and was also correct when that centripetal force is in fact regular physics.
Go Google it, and what it'll tell you in your own
So
paradigm.
how does that work in your
Chill
universe?
out.
My question is how does it work in your
Keep
universe?
going with it. Keep going.
Not how it works in our
Your own
universe.
paradigm is that there is a centripetal force, but they claim that it's really the primary causal agent is gravity, and that the centripetal inward force, the Rayleigh inward centripetal force, is just a description of the effect caused by gravity, which ironically,
I don't think so.
Relativity is the effect, right? Gravity is also the effect, so it's like the effect of the effect. The effect is causing the effect, I guess.
Are you going to answer my question? You're just going to dance away from it.
Well, I was finishing my answer to your first
lot of
question. You
dancing.
understand what you said?
Well, he's
So
saying,
how does the
he's
rotating
trying to answer my
universe,
question.
how does the rotating universe impart this, whatever it is, on something on the Earth?
It would have to.
It would have to, but
Wait, you guys have a fucking what's it called?
It would have to. The question was, how does it? And his answer is, it would have to. Yeah, we get that it would have to for your fantasy world. But that doesn't answer how it does it. Right? You started with the conclusion. You found something. You said, well, something has to do it in order for the conclusion. And never mind whether or not the conclusion is correct. It has to be correct to him.
Well, the what's the thing? The CERN, the Large Hadron Collider, literally uses magnetism, which is what he's saying is the force here.
The magnets in CERN are big, and they use particles or whatever.
Oh yeah,
The particles are charged particles, so of course they're affected by magnetism. Particles that are not charged are not as the same, right? Paramagnetic, diamagnetic, ferromagnetic, those kinds of things. But yes, if you take a proton, we know its charge. We know its response to magnetism. And so yes. But when you have a proton and a neutron and two protons, two neutrons, and two electrons together, let's call it that, right? If you have that, it's not going to respond to magnetism the same as just the proton.
this is bigger.
Yeah. Well, the Earth's magnetic field is like extremely weak.
Oh, that's what you guys claim.
That's what we mean. That's what we claim.
You can measure.
Do you understand? There's a difference between like the magnetic field you get like from compasses and like a giant vortex spinning all the sun and all that shit.
There is no. Yeah, you would just measure that. There is. It would have to be significantly more powerful than your oh my gosh. Imagine in their world, right? If this rotating magnetic field exists, imagine the compass. It would be rotating all the time with it. They don't even get it. They just make up crap. I love it. It's so hilarious. QOP is the best flurf on the globe.
Right. Because we can't detect that one, right? So again, so the Earth is magnetic. If this is a magnetic force, how does that influence things that aren't magnetic?
You claim we can't detect it because you guys claim the interferometer, pendulum are all detecting Earth spin. What if they're detecting the vortex? Then yes, we can detect it.
The vortex.
Yes, the one you see above you.
The vortex of what?
The one you see above you.
Vortex above you.
What's the vortex consist of? Ether. That doesn't exist.
In your paradigm, it would be space, right? Where you attribute physical properties to it anyway. So
Can I my favorite NASA Shield argument is when he says that MMX claimed that the ether was debunked within the paper. Can you tell us about that?
They said so. Yeah, look in the paper. Read the paper.
They said so in the paper.
The paper literally does not say that.
I know. Last time he quoted it in the text chat to me, like after he proved my point that it assumes the ether even in its last conclusions of its different hypothesis for how the ether could be working.
The paper actually says that.
It's literally at the end it postulates different.
So the Michelson-Morley experiment doesn't say the words that the ether's been falsified, anything like that. it details that they did not find what they were thinking they were going to find. Airy's failure actually goes farther. And Airy's failure does say the hypothesis of Mr. Klinkerfues is untenable. So the hypothesis of Mr. Klinkerfues earlier in the paper is the undulating theory of light, which is the ether, the luminiferous ether, the undulating theory of light. You got to be clear on when you use the word ether, specifically its properties, because there's so many definitions for it.
Ether theories. It's like,
yeah. Oh, so it's different ether that makes it more than what you're trying to prove, right? So,
oh yeah, Austin, can you substantiate ether?
Ether is an immaterial background medium of pure potential. It cannot be quantified or measured intrinsically.
Oh, so you don't have any science for it.
Ether's not science.
Oh, that's right. So why would you say ether exists if there's no evidence for it and if it's not science? What's that called, Austin, when you don't have any empirical evidence for it?
What do you mean by religion?
A belief system built upon the doctrine of men void of empirical verifiable evidence.
So there you go. Austin's own words, ether is religion. Ether is religion, according to Austin.
Yeah, can the Globers call for a substitution?
There's no productive, fruitful conversation with you, right? Like you just
I know,
want to
that's
push these talking
No. I mean, you've officially danced away for telling me how this.
No one takes away from anything. You're not letting anyone else talk.
Somebody needs to call my question. Are you going to say I don't know?
How can someone answer your question when you incessantly interrupt them?
Well, if you dance away from my question.
That didn't happen. What actually happened was someone else asked me a question. You're interrupting me already. Someone else asked me a question about the Coriolis that's dynamically represented in this model that I linked. I started to answer him, and you just started spiraling out of control.
You danced away from my basic question of how
just ignore what I said. That'll work.
Influences things. How does this work? What is the mechanism that a rotating universe would cause a hurricane to rotate in one direction or move a focal pendulum?
Good question. Watch him not answer.
Or cause a satellite to orbit.
We don't know how mass interacts with space-time. We don't know how matter interacts with other matter.
Oh, Taylor has to change the topic. Don't change the topic. Come right to it. How does it impart that force?
We don't know the fundamental mechanisms behind that.
Yeah, we can measure
gravity. In space-time.
Yeah, but we can measure gravity.
How does mass attract mass? How does it happen? You're asking for any mechanisms.
We can measure gravity. Well, he can't even measure this vortex. Maybe
okay, you can stay the same since you can measure this movement of the toroidal field.
Of the toroidal field? How do you measure toroidal field movement?
You get samples.
What?
I don't deny you can measure gravity, but asking for the mechanics of something, what causes the Coriolis, which is gravity, in your model, you don't even understand the mechanics of it.
Coriolis is not gravity. Sorry.
Oh, that's what the Coriolis effect. That's the real force behind it, not the fictitious force of Coriolis.
Is it just me or
yes, it is. Coriolis is the force.
Coriolis is gravity? Since when is
Coriolis gravity? The real force behind the Coriolis effect. The real force.
So they always get confused on the real forces, which would be in our reference frame. There's four. There's just four true real forces, right? Strong force, weak force, electromagnetic force, and gravity. And if you go to outside our frame, if you write the over that, then gravity gets a different view of it in general relativity. But within our reference frame, there's four. So, but then they don't get things like inertia or centrifugal acceleration. So if you're in a car and the car is turning a corner hard and you're pushed toward the door, is that a fictitious force? Yes, it is a fictitious force in that it's something that arises because of inertia. So it's not a true force like gravity. But within your reference frame, within the car, you can do work with it, making it something that you can interact with. So it exists in reality. Calling it a fictitious force doesn't mean it doesn't exist in reality. It's about how it came about. And they think that that wording makes it actually not exist because they don't even understand the topic. So yeah, Coriolis is another one. Centrifugal, Coriolis, Euler forces are also. Now, listen for Euler. 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 Listen to how Austin pronounces it.
This kind of goes to my question. This goes to my...
Oh, Mr. E-Man, emergent force. Yes. So there's different names for it. apparent force, emergent force, pseudo force, fictitious force. I think the emergent force, I think emergent is a better term because it's less confusing to people that don't work with it regularly to know that it exists. And the word fictitious isn't meaning that it doesn't exist, but they're using it as if it doesn't exist. And then they're replacing it. They're like, oh, well, we don't need to use these fictitious forces. We use only real forces. Well, what's a real force? The real force is this inward magical thing that doesn't exist and has never been measured. They call it real. Hold on a second. It's never been measured. It's less than fictitious. It doesn't even exist.
My question that I asked was, what's it is, are you accepting then, because you keep saying Coriolis is an actual real force. So are you guys acknowledging that there is a real effect there?
You know, there's a fictitious force and a real force.
Yes. And
Taylor just can't stop interjecting. Poor girl.
What Witz said, he said it last night, repeated it again today, is that this model that he has, this ACES equivalence model, it converts the Coriolis fictitious force into a real force.
Okay, let me explain it. So if you go down here, just like I said a second ago, right, you have 3 different dynamic models. The first one here has rotational inertial field, right? This is what I was explaining to you guys, that in your own framework, there's a dynamic equivalence where with a stationary Earth. So in your own framework of mechanics.
No, not within our own framework. It's within somebody else's proposed framework.
Newtonian, Einsteinian, whatever, you're going to have a real inertial force of a Coriolis force. The difference is the Coriolis force would be real because the Earth's not moving. The accelerative frame would actually be the universe. That would generate a real Coriolis force. This is the Machian principle in relativity. It's
Machian principle again is not something that people accept. Like it's a hypothesis
represented with the lens theorying effect, right, with frame dragging of space. Now, a side note there, right, is that if you had an actual medium like the ether, one could also apply the same translation of motion where the medium would drag, right? And this was historically referred to as ether drift, ether wind, etc. They set that aside regardless. I mean,
yeah, because they didn't measure it when they tried to. So the ether drift would be what they were testing in Michelson Morley and Airy was looking for, because they knew that the Earth was orbiting the sun. They knew the rate at which it was moving. And they said, well, if there's a stationary ether and if light is moving through that ether, then it should have this particular effect. Tested it, didn't find it. And so the conclusion was not Earth not moving. The conclusion is ether doesn't work the way we think it is, the way that we propose. The hypothesis was not confirmed.
Without even invoking ether, the point being made is that this all started from a satellite claim, which is why I built this in the first place, that the satellite equations, when you actually account for things like them floating on the ISS or the actual orbital mechanics, you apply a centrifugal force and a Euler force. Now, these are real.
Yeah, did you hear him say that? Euler force, not Euler. Euler.
Force is your side claims is pseudo or fictitious. So that's the one dynamic model here, right? It's just explaining that, which is like if you're going to invoke this for like a stationary plane, you would invoke an ether to have the same effect of frame dragging that's represented in lens theorying effect in relativity. Now, I obviously don't invoke relativity, so it's just like a point to make that, like, in your own framework, do you have to concede the validity of a stationary Earth dynamically?
No, we don't. Not like you say. Because
of the angular momentum of a rotating universe generating real inertial forces, specifically Coriolis, centrifugal.
The rotating universe does not generate these forces. That's not our paradigm.
And Euler forces. So that is not me saying that the Coriolis force is real.
And you know that he's full of crap when he doesn't even know the name of the guy. Right? This is coming out of the face hole of somebody that never took any training on these types of these topics, doesn't have any background, never sat down and worked through any of the actual problems and questions that you would in order to gain the expertise and skill to understand it. Like Daryl, who's in the chat right now, he's done it. Daryl gets it. He can sit down and he can be asked, hey, Daryl, could you show the derivation of this? Can you show how this is related to this, right? And he's worked through those things. He understands it, and he knows how to pronounce Euler.
I'm not like completely opposed to it. Like, logically, what I would think is if that were happening and there was a real Coriolis force, say that there was like a phenomenon equivalent to frame dragging in an etheric medium around a stationary Earth, that effect would be much smaller, right? It would translate through the medium, but what the net magnitude of it would be would depend on like many other variables, specifically density, locality, etc., masses, whatever, right? So I'm not going to make that claim. I'm not going to make up a bunch of claims about where things are, how close everything is, what the medium is, whatever, to give you a claimed net magnetic magnitude. But just in theory, like, yeah, in theory, a stationary Earth rotating universe could cause a pendulum to slightly move here and there, but it would be...
No, not in theory. Only in your fringe ideas. And this is how it's interesting. So Austin has sought out these fringe ideas. He heard Ken Wheeler talk, and Ken Wheeler said a bunch of fancy words. And Austin, who's never had the background to identify BS from real, to say, I've never heard that before. That doesn't sound right. Let me go look it up and see if there's anything to that. He never had that spidey sense that when I listen to Ken Wheeler talk, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. What is he talking about? Let me go look it up. No, that's not a thing, right? He lacks that background. And of course, all of Ken Wheeler's people that watch him also lack that background. So they're fooled by him. And Ken Wheeler, this is the deal, has no responsibilities. None of the stuff that he says is ever applied in reality to test if it works. He just spouts it out. People hear it and they're like, oh, wow, that's cool. That's it. And flat earthers are the same. They don't ever do any actual work applying the things that they think. Never. So he doesn't have that background to know that there is no such thing, that there isn't a rotation in a magnetic field. There's no vortex in a magnetic field, right? There's no centrifugal and centripetal acceleration in a magnetic field. There isn't in a stationary magnetic field or a rotating magnetic field. I don't even know how you could have a rotating magnetic field. If you took a magnet, right? Let's say this is a magnet, right? If this was a magnet, north and south, and if I rotated it, right? And if it wasn't irregularly shaped, would anything in it that's affected by a magnetic field know that the actual physical magnet is rotating? No, it would not. Physically rotating. And if it's not physically rotating, would anything inside the magnetic field identify rotation? No. He thinks they do because Ken Wheeler said words. So who is Ken Wheeler? Okay, Ken Wheeler is a YouTuber that makes up BS. He had a channel that was on photography. I don't know. I've never looked at any of his photography videos. Maybe he was a fine photographer. Maybe he was crap. I don't know. But he started pontificating on science and physics topics. He's nutso goofball out there stuff, electric universe things, and he just kind of just makes up stuff. And people that don't have any background in the topic and are easily fooled, they hear him say big fancy words and they're like, oh, wow, he must know what he's talking about. And then they just believe him. Because, it's not... Do I have... Yeah, hold on. So I got my calculus book here. This is my college calculus book. It's beat up by Finney Thomas. I don't know if any of you know anything about it, but here we go. All right. So, for example, right, you got problems. You work through problems on here, right? But the people watching Ken Wheeler, they don't do the problems. They don't even get, they don't get this real lecture. They just get him basically talking out of his ass, saying goofy things, and people are like, oh, that sounds fancy, right? And that's it. It's anti-education entertainment for gullible people. That's who Ken Wheeler is. Okay. Anyway. So this is going to be funny in a second here.
Probably inconsistent. It would be latitude dependent. It would be seasonally dependent. And that's why when you ask me about like shooting like long distance things in the military, I don't really know. I can't verify that is or isn't a real thing. When I looked into like the long distance sniper shots, it seems like it's grossly overrepresented, to put it charitably. So yeah, that's a lot. But that's why that's just its own separate dynamic section, right? The relational, you just conflated these.
So Ken Wheeler's not the New Zealand guy. That's the Tomb of Illumination. He's a flat earther who is just seriously mentally ill. Ken Wheeler is not. He's, I think, American. He has a strangely large channel, and lots of people watch his live streams where he derps things a lot.
These two. This is Andre Cease over here, relational electrodynamics. This is different.
Oh, sorry, I'm not looking at your screen. Hold on.
Rotational inertia field. This is going to be the real inertial field I just described. This is different. Relational electrodynamics. It uses Andre Cease, right? Which he explains relational electrodynamics, that there is a dynamic.
So, Andre Cease wrote a book. You can get it. I have copies of it in PDF. It's easy to find. It's called Relational Dynamics. You can find it. You just Google it. He proposes that there are these forces that nobody's verified.
Equivalence, even relativistically. And then he points out that it would be akin to electrodynamic coupling. An electrodynamic coupling force, as in like the math is identical to that. Like the math you get is identical to what you get in electrodynamics.
Yeah, so he found some math and he said, well, let's just imagine that Mars has this force applied to it. That's it. It wasn't, there's actually confirmed empirical evidence of it. It's not, let's apply Kepler's laws of planetary motion that we've identified on the Earth orbiting the sun or the moon orbiting the Earth to Mars. It's, let's invent something that solves the conclusion that we need it to solve, that fits with it, right? A fine thing to do in a hypothesis. But then you need to go and test it and find out if there's actual supporting evidence for it. And there is not.
Yeah,
So I don't
know what the answer is. I don't really know. It sounds like you said you're not willing to commit to Coriolis being real, but it might be. But it might be less.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. Like if there's an ether and there's a universe that's rotating, we know for sure it would create a centrifugal force, right?
No.
And like if you look at Luca Popov's paper, like he explains, if you have like the pseudo force and pseudo potential of a rotating.
Okay, Popov is another geocentrist.
Universe around a
geocentric glober.
Stationary Earth, then what would happen is the universe would just move perpetually. It would just continue to move. And so
why would you just say yes? We would have Coriolis effects.
Well, because he invokes Newtonian dynamics in that paper, right? Like I'm not going to invoke Newtonian or Einsteinian mechanics.
But you do, because in your little tab there, you do.
Well, what are you invoking for this? Which Ian Brand in this thing that you built? Which model did you adopt?
Yeah, well, the rotational inertial field would apply Newtonian dynamics.
Okay, so you did Newtonian. So then you should say, at least in this model you built, you would see.
I didn't tell it to, but assumably it did, right? Because I told it was preferable. Mm-hmm. But again, do you understand the point of this being here? Like the conversation I had last night speared this, which is just like it's just.
I went and read a little bit last night too.
I solder 74 talking about yes. So yeah, back to the magnet. If you take the magnet like this and rotate it, nothing. But if you take the magnet like this and rotate it, well, yes, things would notice. Things inside the magnetic field would notice. Absolutely. But this way, no. Good point. That's how motors work.
Yeah, there's just a dynamic equivalence. It's just like that. This is not known by 99% of the world, you know.
I mean, I'd say for a globe, I'd say if Earth was flat, there would be a version of it, but the dynamics that you would experience on a flat plane would be different than what you'd experience on a globe.
It would be different, but like imagine this. Imagine if you could take the net effect of a Newtonian gravity on a sphere Earth, and you could create an equivalence of it on a stationary Earth with an ether and a rotating universe, and that net Rayleigh inward accelerative force, the centripetal force, it would be indistinguishable from what is attributed to gravity in a Newtonian globe model.
No, it wouldn't. I'm going to show you in a bit.
It would be
I don't know. I've never heard of an ether that like moves things around, it like pushes pendulums. That'd be a new concept. That definitely is not the classical ether model. And I think it would have a lot of work to do to make
why would it be any different? Like just think about it, right? Like your model claims there is a centripetal force, but that it's the descriptor because really gravity is causing it. It would just, if there was a real inertial force, which your model concedes that if the Earth's not moving, it would be a real inertial force.
No, our model does not concede the Earth not moving. That's not part of our model. So you can't say in our model, Earth not moving, because that's not the model. You've just replaced our model with something else.
Right. Like, well, I'm just saying, even more, even cementing the viability of that more would be like an actual, quote unquote, physical medium, right? And I say physical in quotes because it's not like it's not materially manifest, but it has like actual properties.
Yeah, so I think the way I think about it is this: imagine, okay, take a like a merry-go-round, You can say, okay, if you spin it, that would create a certain effect of like a pendulum on it. And you say, okay, well now just imagine that thing's stationary and everything else is spinning around it, and it would create the same pendulum effect. The effects, like whatever a pendulum would do on a merry-go-round, is what I would expect it to do on Earth under this model.
Okay,
Right?
think about a whirlpool, right? Like we have the medium of water, you have a whirlpool, you agree there's going to be a translation of motion down, inward towards the center of that whirlpool.
Yeah, there's a medium there. But remember, ether's only a religion.
Yeah, but that's different. When you say whirlpool, that's not, I don't think that's what this this SC model is. It's not a whirlpool model. It's just
Dude, you're conflating them again. Assis is over here. Relational electrodynamics. I'm not talking about that. These are different.
Okay. All right. So the left.
They're not completely unrelated.
But they produce the
You
same.
understand that the whole thing
But they
about
would produce the same effects on
mechanics
Earth.
is different.
Like you take Earth and you'd say take all the forces acting on Earth. Each of these would produce the same result. So if you flatten out Earth, I think it's reasonable to say that you can make a prediction about the difference in how that would behave, right? A difference in how that rotating inertial field would behave, or a difference in how this relational electrodynamics would work. It would be different because a merry-go-round, because a pendulum on a merry-go-round is going to behave differently than a pendulum on a globe.
Well, wouldn't be on the merry-go-round, it'd be inside of it. But like the math would be different, yes, because you use R value of a globe, right? But the forces themselves wouldn't. There is no dynamic distinction. And actually, ironically, right, of course, you guys didn't have to invoke the flattening of the pole because like a necessary byproduct of it. So it's like in your guys' model, the Earth is spinning, causing a flattening of the poles. He shows in his relational mechanic dynamic equivalence, he does all the math. He shows that you can mathematically predict the exact same Foucault pendulum deviation, but also the same flattening of the poles. I mean, a stationary globe Earth with a rotating universe, you would get the flattening of the poles, right? Well, it's like, okay, so you would just have that force around a flat Earth. There is nothing to flatten. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not dynamically different. It's mathematically different. And of course, so
that force would not, here's what he's using this invented, non-empirically confirmed, imagined up, hoped for geocentric glober force and saying, oh, you could also have it on a flat Earth. No, you couldn't. It's not how it works. But none of it would work. None of it maps to a flat Earth. Because on a flat on the geocentric globe model that he's proposing, he's explaining how the sun orbits or Mars or the sun, right? How they orbit the Earth. It's this inward force, right? So it wouldn't work for satellites because satellites would go in, right? It'd push them in too. It's so how it's the layers of wrongness. I've heard it before and I'm still baffled
when I invoke
at how bad it is.
Like, hey, look, here it is on a flat Earth because he did all the math from a globe. But what he did do was show mathematically that you can't distinguish a stationary Earth and a moving Earth relativistically in terms of dynamics, which was earth shattering at the time. He's presenting a different form of mechanics, though, right? Relational mechanics.
I'll have to look into this. I gotta step off, but I know from talking to IC Spin that he has a couple questions for you.
Okay.
You know, we have to crowdfund or pull some money together and create somewhere in like a really good interferometer that like replicates Airy's failure in like the lab scale, so that we
make an interferometer that replicates Airy's failure. Airy's failure was a telescope, not an interferometer, QOP. You are truly the best flurf on the globe.
can show that the angle would change.
He doesn't even know.
Nope.
He doesn't even know.
The double slit shouldn't be that expensive.
Oh, I'm gonna set up.
How big are you talking? I guess.
No, nothing. They don't know. Okay.
The problem is, right, like, you guys think of things so backwards. You think of things like, okay, here's my model, here's what I believe, here's what would have to happen if my model was true. So we just assume that's true. So we just do the math.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly what you're doing, Austin. You've perfectly described your process.
Whether we see it, observe it, measure it, or whatever, whether it's reliable or consistent, doesn't really matter. We know it's happening because this is a physical requirement of our model. So let's just do the math, assuming the model, whatever that predicts, must be true. And then when we find things that don't match that, we just make up excuses post hoc, whether dark matter, dark energy, whatever it is.
No, you have a new hypothesis and then you go test it. You say, we found something that is an issue. This is normal science. Sorry, my eye is itchy. normal science, you explore something, you find something, you figure something out. You're like, okay, we're getting a handle on how this thing works. Okay. But as we examine it deeper, we uncover new things that are now new questions. Before we had powerful telescopes, we couldn't see distant galaxies. Then we got powerful telescopes and we could see distant galaxies. Now, before all this, we figured out that the Earth is a sphere. We figured out that the Earth is orbiting the sun. We figured out how far away the sun is from the Earth. We figured out how long each planet takes to orbit the sun, and even knowing that Mercury's orbit is weird. Something's weird about Mercury's orbit. Then we get to where we can see distant galaxies, and we can then resolve them more, and we can determine the distance from us to the distant galaxies. Then we look at the distant galaxies and we look at how much mass is in them. And then we see, oh, wait a second. Its apparent rotational speed doesn't quite match what we see for mass. Hey, cool. We found a new thing in science that we get to explore. And so we make up some hypotheses about what might be going on there. Dark matter is one of the hypotheses for it. And it's not a empirically confirmed fact of science that dark matter exists. It's the leading hypothesis for what's causing it. And it's really just a placeholder, because there's nothing super specific about dark matter, right? It's just a couple words that describe what we've identified. It's matter, or it's something that has mass. Well, we call things that have mass matter. It's dark in that it doesn't interact with light. Dark matter. That's it. So there is something causing mass, more mass than we see. Nothing wrong with that. That's a hypothesis, right? What specifically is it? Well, is it this particle, this particle, this particle, or a different particle we've never heard of? Maybe. We've excluded several of them. Dark Star says, great. Says, no one ever said, I think I'll become a flat earther. There is no thinking involved. Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, Matt G says, Judy, you got this, says hi. Hello, Judy, you got this. I was thinking about the other day. I haven't heard from Judy, you got this for a while. So hello. Tori Hanzo upgraded membership to Buzz Aldrin. Thank you for that. And I think Brenda, did I read this already? But WitSpit's is in EA right now. Well, that's okay. We're laughing at him. Maybe he'll derp up some stuff that we can watch later. This is the second in a week on WitSpit's. I'm not going to just do it constantly. But all right, I've got the homework that I did. So hopefully we get to this soon here.
The difference is I'm not going to do that. So I'm like much more limited in terms of modeling, right? Like the Foucault's pendulum, when I researched that without bias, right? Like what I found is that it's largely inconsistent. It's very sensitive. It's very difficult to get the actual results. All the books online grossly misrepresent that.
Did you listen to Alan read about that? I might get the book or just skim the book online.
No, queue up. You won't be reading it.
But there's a book Alan was reading the other night. It was on the anisotropy of space. It's like a Glober making, ad hoc theories after having done Foucault's pendulum type thing where...
So, ad hoc theory. You mean a hypothesis. That's called science. That's what you do.
He measured it during eclipses, and the eclipses were affecting the pendulums.
Oh, he's talking about the Elias effect. The Elias effect is Mr. Elias did a Foucault pendulum during an eclipse and said that he got some erratic behavior. And as WitSpit's just referenced, it is difficult to control for confounding variables when doing a Foucault pendulum. One of the ways that you can mess it up is by not releasing it with zero lateral motion. So a lot of the time people will use a string and then burn the string instead of cutting it, because if you cut it with the scissors, whichever side hits the string first might move it to the side a little bit. So if you burn the string, it'll just release it straight is the idea. So did Elias notice something during eclipse, or did he have a a sloppy release of the pendulum. Don't know. But it was never confirmed. And this is the important thing. Flat earthers identify something that happened once or twice, right? And they're like, oh, we found the deep hidden truth of the universe. When in fact, it was just an outlier. Probably a mistake in the experimental procedures. So you do it again and again and again, and you find out, you know what? There is no issue with focal pendulum during eclipses. They all act the same, except for those couple times. Well, okay, we'll just note that as an outlier, and if something interesting happens, awesome. But people, this is what we're showing. If there was a difference in focal pendulums during an eclipse, that would be Nobel Prize. You would get a Nobel Prize if you identified that. You would. So people have a huge motivation to identify if there is something that happens with the focal pendulum during an eclipse. Huge motivation. $1 million motivation. And you know what's never happened? Nobody's ever identified an actual thing that happens. Even with the money, with the prize, with the notoriety sitting out there, nobody's identified it. You know why? Because there's nothing there.
No.
Also, there's a paper on torsion pendulums, which are highly sensitive, being affected by magnetic fields.
Yes. The torsion pendulum, that's what Cavendish used. It's also what Coulomb used to measure the force of magnetic fields. Whoopity-doo.
And even in non-conductive materials, that was the paper. They call it like the Crane effect or something. I can pull up the paper if anybody wants it. I've posted before.
The paraconical pendulum was the one that was affected by like solar eclipses and lunar eclipses.
So just to finish this, just so people, if anyone's curious, right? I haven't read this in a long time, but my understanding of
Yeah, I know that's not really how Nobels work, but you know what I mean? Like, if you identify something that is groundbreaking and falsifies a well-known thing, that's notoriety. That's a big deal. People will go after that.
Andre Assis did. He presents a new form of mechanics, relational mechanics, which means it's a new system of mechanics entirely independent of both Newtonian or Einsteinian mechanics. He throws it out completely. And one of the first things he does is he throws out absolute space from Newtonian mechanics, and he throws out space-time from Einsteinian mechanics, and he says space is just a concept, and he determines everything based on just the real interaction of physical objects. And
No, he invents things that don't exist.
He says that alone would create a real physical dynamic interaction of mechanics. And so if you take like all the distant masses in the universe and it's rotating, for example, it's going to create a real inertial force as opposed to being fictitious inertial forces.
And why would it be real? Because he just says it. That's it.
Right. It would create like something akin to a real gravitational pull exerted on objects locally because of the combined mass of all the distant galaxies and masses in the universe. The way he calculated that.
Okay. It's time. So, here's the idea. Here's what they're claiming. What Austin or what Andrew Assis is claiming. Right here. Here is I don't have the thingy-mabobber. There we go. And it's back. Okay. Oh, but it's in the wrong spot. Hold on. There it is. I got to move it down. Down. There you go. Oh, but it's two. There we go. All right. There we go. Okay, fixed. Okay. Here we go. This is some of the stuff I was working on before. So here is the reality. This is the sun, the earth, and this is what Andre Assis and other geocentric globers like Austin are proposing. I'll going over this. Well, first of all, this is reality, and so what we're going to do is we're gonna compute stuff here, and then we've got the proposal from Austin. Austin's proposal is that the Earth is a globe in the center of the solar system, and the sun is 150 million kilometers distant. This is Austin's claim. Let's see. I'll just put this on here. Austin et al. There's a few others like these Assis and Popov and others like that. Okay, so first we're going to compute this because you've got your centrifugal acceleration, which is what happens when the Earth orbits the sun, like this, right? Going around in circles. And so there's going to be an outward acceleration because of that movement, like when you're in a car turning a corner and you're pushed to the outside and you're pushed against the door. And so then in order to keep the Earth in orbit, there has to be the internal centripetal acceleration, and that would be gravity. Okay. In this one, we'll see what it's that the universe rotating is the opposite one. So I'll show you, we're going to go over both of them. Okay. So we need to compute the centrifugal acceleration. So how do we do that? Well, the formula for that is acceleration equals v squared over r. Okay, that's the formula for centrifugal acceleration or centripetal acceleration, the other direction. But in order to do that, we have to know a few things. We need to know the orbital period. Okay, so the orbital period is how many seconds it takes, because we're going to do this in SI units, so we need the seconds. So to know how many seconds it takes for the Earth to orbit the sun once. Well, there's 365.25 days per year. So to get the number of seconds, we go 24 times 60 times 60 equals, okay, we get the calculator out here. We got 365.25, 24, 60, 60. And that gives us 31,557,600 seconds. Okay, that's the orbital period of the Earth around the sun. 35 million seconds. Okay? Now, we've got that. Next, we need to know the velocity of the Earth, the tangential velocity of the Earth. So we know the radius and we know the circumference, right? So the circumference is, I've pre-computed it. It's 2 pi r. It's a big number here. 1,000 million billion. It's 942 billion meters. There you go. Because it's 150 billion meters radius, or 150 million kilometers radius. So that's the circumference. So then to get the tangential velocity, we just take the circumference over the t, right? So that is this number here, 9 something, over this number here, 31 something. All right. So I've got the 31 there, and I'll type in here the 942 billion 450 000 000 divide, and then 1 over, because I need the reciprocal of that. So that gives here equals, all right, tangential velocity 29,864 meters per second. Okay, 29 million meters per second is the tangential velocity of the Earth around the sun. Okay, we're almost there. Now we know the velocity and we know the radius. So we take the velocity squared, 864 meters per second squared over the radius, 150. Okay. So duplicate that, multiply so we have it squared, and then 150 There we go. 5, 9, 4, 5 times 10 to the negative 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then what are our units? Well, we've got meters squared over seconds squared, and then this one is meters. So we divide meters. So we're going to have just 1 meter on the top, and we're going to have seconds squared on the bottom. Our dimensional analysis confirms we're in meters per second squared, which is what we're expecting. So our acceleration is 0.006 meters per second squared. That's all that you need to keep the Earth in orbit around the sun. Okay, that's for the globe. Were you following along there? I hope I didn't lose you in that. Let's see here. This is important. You'll never see a flat earther do that. You'll never see a flat earther do that. Ever. Okay. What's next? Okay. It's okay. This here is it's high school physics, really. That's what this is. And a lot of people didn't take it, and if you don't work with it much, you're gonna be rusty on it. But that's what. So, but it's important. If a flat earther is claiming to have debunked physics, they got to be able to do this. All right. Now, let's go to this one. I'll try to work through this a little faster. This is Austin's claim. Austin's claim. Earth, the globe Earth, is in the center of the solar system, and the sun is 150 million kilometers away. This is in his application. I'll show you that. I've got screenshots. Actually, I should show you that right now, so that you're not like thinking, well, what are you talking about? He didn't show that. It is in the source code. I looked at the source code. It's compiled into basically one long string of source code. So I had to pull it out and like comment it. I had some help. So here is some of the constants in are the variables in the application that Austin uses. This is his model. This is his model of flat Earth. Okay? In there, it's using this number. What is this number? That number is the radius of the Earth. What is this number? This number is a little harder. You wouldn't recognize this necessarily. That is the constant G, the gravitational constant, times the mass of the Earth. So Austin, in his own app, uses gravity times the mass of the Earth. Austin's model is a globe. Austin's model uses gravity. Don't ever forget that. Those are really critical right here. Let's look at the other one. He's got another one here. So here he is doing well, not he, Claude. He's unaware that it's Claude. It's Claude is doing conversions between different coordinate systems on the Earth. So the geodetic latitude. Right here, we've got, again, you've got the equatorial radius and the polar radius. He doesn't just use one radius, he uses both. He uses the flattening of the Earth. Knowing that the Earth is not just spherical, but that it's got a different radii. Right? This is how it's computed, and then it's just transformed. It's just plotted. It's not plotted. It's projected onto a flat Earth. That's all he's doing, right? Height above the ellipsoid. Height above the ellipsoid. becomes altitude. All right, feel free to go look at it. I posted it in the chat a little bit ago. That's what he's doing. So don't forget it. That's why I'm doing this computation here, right? Because it's using this, and he's claiming now, he has claimed that the entire universe moving around the Earth is causing the centripetal acceleration to keep things like the sun in orbit around the Earth. So now here's the difference. If the Earth is stationary and the sun is moving around the Earth, the sun has to orbit the Earth not once a year, it does it once a day. Once a day. So the orbital period isn't for a year, it's for a day. So it's not 365 times the number of seconds in a day. It's just the number of seconds in a day. 24 times 60 times 60. Now it's actually a sidereal day, which is not quite exactly this, but that's okay. We don't need to be accurate to 6 digits. I know this offhand because I use it a lot. Do 86,400 seconds, right? Now, what's the tangential velocity of the sun around the Earth in Austin's model? Well, the sun has to make the same trip as the Earth does, but it has to do it once a day, not once a year. So it's going to be significantly faster. I'll just tell you the answer. I already did the answer. I already did the math. Nah. 10 million meters per second, which is 10,000 kilometers per second, is how fast the sun has to move around the Earth. That's its tangential velocity, which happens to be about 4% of speed of light. That's right. So if you're going to talk about relativity, now you've got relativistic forces applied to the sun because it's moving at a significant enough portion of the speed of light to be affected by it. But never mind that, Austin. He doesn't believe in relativity. So we'll just ignore that, I guess, because that's what geocentric globers do. Anyway, that's how fast it's moving. So now we get to centrifugal acceleration, right? Our formula is, again, the acceleration equals velocity squared over r. Okay? That is velocity squared. And the velocity is really high, right? The velocity of the Earth orbiting the sun is 29,000 meters per second. This is 10 million meters per second, right? It's significantly faster. 10,907,986 squared, and that's meters per second. Meters squared per second squared. Over the radius, which is the same radius as the globe. I've already done the math. The acceleration is 793.2 meters per second squared. Now, what was the globe? What was the globe? What was the heliocentric? The heliocentric acceleration, 0.00593 meters per second squared. So the centripetal acceleration needed for the Earth to orbit the sun is 0.006 about meters per second squared. The centripetal acceleration to keep the sun in orbit around the Earth is 793 meters per second squared. Significantly more, massively, monstrously more. And Austin is claiming that the universe rotating around the Earth, this is Austin's claim, is causing this centripetal acceleration of 793 meters per second squared. But there's a problem with that. There's a big problem with that. Here on the Earth, we would feel that too. We would have 793 meters per second squared toward the center of the Earth everywhere. We don't feel that. We would be absolutely crushed. We feel 9.8 meters per second squared toward the center of the Earth. This is almost 100 times more powerful. This is almost 100 G. This is what Austin is claiming the rotating universe imparts on everything inside the universe at the center of the universe, including on the surface of the Earth. That's impossible. Where we don't notice that at all. How absolutely ridiculous. This isn't a small problem. This isn't, oh, I just have a little hypothesis, Andrei Assis or Popov or whatever geocentrist nutball is out there. This is an insurmountable, absolutely impossible problem. It is completely ridiculous to think that the sun could orbit the Earth once a day. There is no amount of force that can be applied to explain that. None at all. And this is what Austin is claiming. This is what Austin has in his model that he has published. I'll show you live right now his website, and we can look at it. I'll post it for all of you to look at. And he's just like, oh yeah, everybody just look at this. This is it. We're gonna do this. No, you're not, Austin. No, you're not. So here it is. Here's his model with the toroidal field that doesn't actually work. Let's see. I'm not getting. Maybe it's not letting me edit it. Oh, did it break? Oh, there it is. Okay. There it is. So this is what he thinks. Of course, the toroidal field is wrong because that's not how it would look. The satellites, well, okay, that would be how a satellite moves. That's the projected position of the satellite. That's all that he's identified. That's all he's done is identified the projected movement of a satellite. And he's like, oh, I'm going to turn on the rotation of the universe. And what does that do? It bogs down the computer a little bit, but here we go. Oh, it doesn't look like it's working. Maybe he broke it. But when it's on, or maybe it's my I'm using a inbuilt Chromium browser here. So maybe it works in Chrome. Hold on, let me check to see if it works in Chrome, or if it's actually broke. Let's see. Well, significantly faster. Nope, it's broke. It's actually broke. Okay, so you do see, though, you see the satellite moving. Let me put it on here so you can see it. Right, so here's the satellite is moving. Right, that's it, and it's moving. That's all he's done is he's projected the globe onto this flat surface. He's imagined a torus field that doesn't exist. He's imagined ether that doesn't exist. He's imagined inward accelerating forces that would have to be are almost 100 times more powerful than we feel at the surface of the Earth. Certainly doesn't exist. Now he's got the cyan layer here, which I can't tell. I'm colorblind. But there's essentially two different things. He has the actual position of the satellites as reported by official data, and then he's got these other forces that he's force fitting into matching it, which doesn't actually work. But yeah, it's the imagined forces that he wants to exist. And then he has like these different things here. He calls them, he's like, it's even got the math. What math? Well, the Coriolis, -2 omega times v. That's it. He's like, it's got the math. What do you mean? The equations. What? I don't see an equation. I just see part of the equation. Centrifugal, -omega times omega times r. Okay. Euler, -alpha times r. Okay. Radial envelope. Right. And of course, the Euler force is 0. All right. And then we get down to his super proud thing. He didn't know what this was. He's like, what's this? This field, I don't know what that is. That seems silly. Now we get to these here, these rotational inertial field, the toroidal flux field, and the relational electrodynamics. So this is from Assis. Again, none of this actually exists in reality. It's just those things don't exist in reality, right? He's taken these other things from globe geocentrists that are as imagined as the ether and just declared that they exist. And because he likes it, they exist. That's it. He just says that they exist because he likes it. That's it. I want to hear in a little bit. He talks about the math. So
was he used like Weber's force or something like Weber's force law or whatever, which is an electrodynamic formula. And he uses that for quote unquote gravitation. So that's why I put relational electrodynamics here, because you can.
Yeah. So he says that that Mars has electromagnetic forces applied to it to cause it to have the orbit that it would have to have. And what do I mean? What do I mean by the orbit it would have to have? Well, the orbit it would have to have is the retrograde motion of Mars, right? As we see it from the Earth, and if when you plot it out on a geocentric globe with Mars being very far away, right, millions of miles away, it does a loop-de-loop, right? And so why would it do a loop-de-loop in around the Earth? There's what's the force? Well, of course, you take the 793 meters per second squared force that somehow exists. Then you need to add something else to cause it to do the loop-de-loop. Just another assumption. Not empirically confirmed. And he's just like, I prefer that to the one that's been empirically confirmed because reasons.
You can do all the math without ever invoking gravity at all. And if you invoke all the distant galaxies rotating around a stationary Earth, it now creates a real force on the Earth electrodynamically.
No, it doesn't.
All the math checks out.
No, it doesn't.
You can't invoke Newtonian mechanics or Einsteinian mechanics without conceding that relational mechanics and relational electrodynamics is equally valid.
No, I totally can. Because relational dynamics invents things that don't exist and assumes that they exist, declares that they have to exist.
That's a huge
deal. You said yourself that you're not a math guy, right?
What does that do to me?
You said all the math checks out. How do you know it checks out? You're not able to check it yourself, right?
Because it's well known, right? I've read like all of the critical critiques of it.
Oh, it's well known. He read all the critiques of it. No.
Published papers of it. I sent it to multiple people. It's not, I'm not a math guy. You know, like I bet you I'm better at math naturally than you.
Oh my gosh. The ego. The ego.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do a problem together then.
Well, it depends on what math it is, right? I said natural.
Oh, it depends what math. Oh, Austin backpedaling so fast.
So
there's a paper I wanted to talk about. What's it? They introduced a toroidal magnetic field and found sky muons, which are some type of particle, had clockwise and counterclockwise rotating like fields around like a central point. So while introducing a magnetic field, sky muons, which is some particle, rotated counterclockwise and clockwise around like this, like I would say like an equator-like line. And there's a paper on that. It's very interesting. And also electromagnetohydrodynamics. I don't know if you've ever seen like putting an EMF into water and seeing how they have like clockwise and counterclockwise rotating movement of the water. It's pretty interesting.
It just completely off the wall, unrelated. Okay, so all of this is built on massive numbers of assumptions. And what does Austin say about assumptions?
Do you know what Occam's razor is? Well, it's that which requires the least amount of assumptions is more likely to be true. If we use like Occam's razor, that which requires the least amount of assumptions is most likely to be true. Let's use Occam's razor. Remember, that which requires the least amount of assumptions. So we're just going to go with the actual evidence. Using Occam's razor, that which requires the least amount of assumptions, actual logic and evidence. Occam's razor, that which requires the least amount of assumptions and is the simplest is most likely to be true if there's equally valid explanations from both sides of it.
Equally valid explanations from both sides of it. Now, that's not quite it. It's both make the same predictions. So I'll grant you this. For Austin's model, where he thinks that the Earth is a globe, and it's a geocentric globe in the center of the solar system, and he's sort of found some things that sort of a little bit have a little bit of predictions that sort of work. I've looked at the relational dynamics and how it claims that Mars is moving. It's a stretch, but let's, for the sake of argument, let's say that it 100% accurately predicts. Let's put that hat on for a second. You still need to assume that there is a force imparted on everything in the universe on the magnitude of 793 meters per second squared toward the center of the Earth in order to keep the sun and Mars in orbit. It's actually probably a whole different value for Mars. You have to assume that even though there is a difference in those forces necessary, that there's some reason for it. You have to assume that even though it is necessary for Mars and the sun, that we don't feel it here. And then this additional relational mechanic force that has been imagined and assumed to work on Mars is working on Mars, right? You have to also, right? You don't use Kepler's laws of planetary motion. You use none of that, right? At least 4 massively huge assumptions. Now, for the globe, what are we assuming? Well, we've measured gravity, so that's not an assumption. That's an application of something that's empirically verified. We've measured the distances. That's fine. We've measured the centrifugal and centripetal acceleration necessary, and they match the amount of mass that we see. So that's not an assumption. We've measured the position of Mars, and we've measured its rotational velocity around the sun, and it matches the same mass of the sun that the Earth does, right? So to back it up just for a second, you can, like I did, you can compute the centrifugal acceleration of the Earth around the sun, and from that, you can get the mass of the sun, right? Because remember, 0.00593 meters per second squared is the centripetal acceleration necessary to keep the Earth in orbit around the sun. So you can use F equals G M1 M2 over R squared, the law of gravitational attraction, to get the mass of the sun based on the Earth's orbit. You can do the same for Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, whatever else. You'll get the same mass of the sun for all of them. So not an assumption there. So we actually have 0 assumptions for the Earth orbiting the sun model versus the geocentric globe model, which is Austin's model. So Occam's razor is not Austin's friend here. It's definitely a rough one for him.
SKY Sky MRIONS Skymrion.
Thank you.
Oh.
I'll contribute usage for the build if you need it too.
People are offering to pay for his Claude usage so that he can continue his geocentric globe model. That's so kind.
You just use TeamViewer or something, and then do a handoff from your account to continue to build on.
We'd have to have a third party pick a math equation.
That'd be better.
I'm not sure what someone was saying, but
Let's hear Skymirons are a few nanometers wide.
okay. Can anyone name a satellite? Name a satellite. You want to look up?
Starlink. What kind of satellites are Starlink?
Starlink.
I have all kinds of Starlinks in here.
There's thousands.
Any name of a satellite? I just want to see if the definition is accurate.
ISS.
That's a that's
Here you go. Himawari 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is 8.
It's gonna sit there. It's in geocentric orbit.
Geostationary, right?
No, that's why it's just sitting there. Okay, wow, what a boring one to pick. Okay, can we pick one that actually moves?
So hold on a second, Austin.
Hubble.
Wait, but Austin, according to the rotating model, the rotating toroid, why is it just sitting there? What is causing in your goofy model? What is causing Himawari 8 to be stationary? Why isn't it moving? Of course it's stationary, people. It's in geostationary orbit. It's always over the same point on the surface of the Earth. All of the geostationary satellites are like that. And it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense for geo. That's another. I totally forgot about there's a lot of reasons why geocentrism doesn't work. And geostationary satellites don't work. Think about it. The reason why geostationary satellites work in reality is that the Earth rotates once a day, and you put a satellite at the correct distance away from the Earth based on the law of gravitational attraction, right? You need to get that distance correct so that its centrifugal and centripetal accelerations are in balance so that it sits just above one spot. So it orbit here. Right? We got, Himawari 8 sitting here above, right here. It's above this point. This is the point, right? So it's out here. And so as the Earth moves, the satellite stays above that one spot. So it takes 24 hours for that satellite to orbit the Earth. So it needs to be farther away. So the centrifugal and centripetal match. Now, you take the Earth, you declare that it doesn't move now, right? And you put the satellite at that distance away from the Earth. And it's not moving. The Earth is stationary. That satellite has to be stationary. What's keeping it up? Especially when you've got 793 meters per second squared pointing toward the Earth. What's keeping it up? Nothing. What's keeping it up above stationary Earth, above the flat Earth? Nothing. There's no explanation. Austin, how embarrassing. You should be super embarrassed that you got Himawari 8. What an excellent example of a falsification of your dumb model.
Geostationary ones are actually the most interesting because it's like something about the celestial equator. Like in the
Astrocate says Austin thinks geostationary satellites are literally stationary. Of course, they would have to be, because he thinks the Earth is stationary, right? His model is the geocentric globe. And then he just does a magical projection to flat Earth just to appease the flat earthers. But all of the just remember, all of the computations on his model are globe. And then he just does a warping to the Gleason map. So yes, on his model, both models, on both flat Earth models and geocentric globe, which is Austin's model, the geostationary satellites have to be truly stationary. It's so dumb. So dumb. Oh. Let's see. All your base belong to us. And the Sun Express says, somebody set up us the bomb. Main screen turn on. Cats, you have no chance to survive. Make your time. Move, Zig. For great justice. Oh yes. I never played the game. I just am a fan of the silly English that came with it. Mr. E-Man says, but you're using the wrong toroid L field, bro. You just don't understand, bro. guess not. Yeah, so what's keeping the satellites up over geostationary or geocentric globe? What keeps nothing? They don't know. They have no idea. And if you do, the thing is, if you do the centrifugal, if you just ignore the necessity of that 793 inward acceleration from that keeps the sun from flying away, if you ignore that for a second, what keeps the other satellites other than the geostationary ones orbiting the geocentric non-moving globe? Well, just like the geostationary satellite centrifugal acceleration doesn't match, you will find the exact same problem on all of the other satellites, because when you stop the Earth moving, all of those other satellites don't move at the right rate, including the moon. You need magic in order for the moon on geocentric globe to orbit, because the velocity isn't correct for centrifugal and centripetal accelerations. They don't match. So every single thing needs different amounts of magic.
What?
Yeah, by just sitting there, you mean moving thousands of miles an hour?
What? Oh, in the globe model?
Yeah.
Why can't I just finish? Dude, you guys, I can't get it. Can I just finish what I was saying? What the fuck?
You go queue up. You're the best flat earther on the globe.
Do you people do this in real life? You just start talking in the middle of someone talking?
Bro, the irony of you saying that.
Well, I mean, it's different if I'm getting muted and you're fucking monologuing.
That's not the only time that you do it. You do see it's pretty annoying though, right? If you're trying to be genuine and say something, it's probably pretty annoying, huh? And for the record, I don't advocate anyone interrupting you, but it is just ironic.
All right, search up OFEG series highlight.
Austin doesn't know what any of this stuff is that Claude generated for him.
FEQ, the Israeli reconnaissance satellites.
OFEQ. That doesn't pull up as anything. OFEQ. That's how you spell it, or is that the acronym?
So he does.
OFFEK.
Okay.
Is it?
Maybe.
Okay. It says both. It says both of them.
Okay.
Let's see.
Now, NASA Shill, are you still around? Remember when he said all the math is here and Geo jumped in? It's like, oh, you said you wanted the math. Here's all the math. Was this on Monday when he did that?
Doesn't have it.
Or was it the day before? All right. Well, this isn't.
So anyway, what I think would be cool, right? Is obviously it's kind of cool. Whatever, you can come here and look at satellites on a flat Earth. That's cool. Whatever. You can change how fast you want to see them. If you want to see them move real fast, but so you can get an idea. A lot of them have to speed up like that. See, speed up. So they have to speed up where they get to the outside with the maximum centrifugal force.
Yeah. What causes them to speed up? Yeah, they have the maximum centripetal force. Why? What is the centripetal force that's countering the maximum centrifugal force? No explanation. Just need more magic.
So it's kind of predicted in the equation anyway over a flat projection, which is why the math works.
I've seen
would be the greatest on the outside.
It's a flat projection. So it's not reality.
Balloons do that too. Pika balloons, they were tracking them. You know how Pika balloons are for ham radio. They launch them. Well known. And then so they were tracking a Pika balloon that was up there for 273 days or whatever. And they said it almost went over the North Pole. They were tracking it, and for the first time it was about to go over the North Pole, and it whooped back down super quickly and kept going the same orbit, just like east to west or whatever. So why do they do that?
Well, obviously what they're going to say here, right, like some of the satellites is the south is wider on a flat Earth projection, so it's greater distance. So it's using the real time data. So on a ball, it would just keep going the same speed pretty much.
Oh yeah, so no assumptions needed. You have an assumption.
They claim the speeds change sometimes, altitude change sometimes, whatever. But if it's going to create a greater distance on the outside, it's going to have to speed up to go that greater distance, in the right amount of time.
Yeah. Okay, so how's that work on flat Earth?
But what is interesting is if you have a vortex in a fluid medium rotating, right? You have the most
But you don't have a vortex in a fluid medium rotating. You don't have that because ether doesn't exist. Ether is just a religion according to you.
Local force towards the outside. So
still looking at satellites. How about looking for MOLNIYA, Molenia satellites?
Yeah.
You saying something? Wait.
All right. That wasn't the one. So I already said it, but NASA Shill was talking about it, and Austin claimed that there's math on there. There isn't math. You have to look at the source code to get to the math, and the math is all geocentric globe. Well, the math is all actually globe, right? And then it's force fitting this geocentric globe stuff on it to try to make the satellites work. So he took the real satellite data, just the plot points. So there's no forces involved. It's just the location of the satellites. And then he had these other things force fit the math into making the satellites work on geocentric globe. Unique for each satellite, stuff like that to force fit it. Just, assumptions, made up stuff. But when he's like, all the math is here, Geo's like, oh, NASA Shill, did you hear that? It's all the math is there. Didn't you say you wanted math? You could go look at it now. There's no math to look at on the actual thing. How is the stuff from Weber being applied? It's not on the page. You have to look at the source code. So if you want more, you'll have to look at the source code. I'm not gonna. It's if you want, maybe I'll do a deeper into the source code. It's just Claude force fitting these things, so it's not super interesting. But maybe I'll. I don't know. Let me know if you're interested in DMs and stuff, or on my Discord server. I'm not going to get into it at the moment because if this stuff was a little bit much, that's a little more, and it's just all goofiness, and it doesn't make for good TV. That's really what I'm saying. Let's see. The Butthurt Lawyer Esquire says, please stop debunking my spouse spitter client or face the consequences of my new spouse spitter / emotional abuser protection laws. Sorry, the Butthurt Lawyer. Are you going to do a pro bono defamation case for Austin because I pointed out his lies? Yeah. I'm not worried. The Sun Express says, consider the implications this stationary geocentric nonsense has on the 2 Voyager spacecraft. So yeah, what would it mean for them? Well, of course, all of the movement of satellites, is screwed up. None of it matches anymore. And also just because he doesn't understand the math, he's like, oh, it's all dynamical equivalence. No, it's not. You don't just hand wave and say dynamical equivalence, right? What is the dynamic equivalence of the Himwari 8 over a geocentric globe, non-rotating geocentric globe? What is the equivalence? How do you explain that? Hovering there. There's no centrifugal acceleration to accelerate it away from the Earth. Nothing. There is nothing. Where is it? What do you got? You don't have anything. So all satellite stuff it doesn't work anymore. So as the Voyager Voyager spacecraft did gravity accelerations around planets, of course, none of that would have worked the same because there's, of course, 793 meters per second squared acceleration near the sun. And so as the Voyager spacecraft got to that distance away from the Earth, you have to assume that for this stuff here, right? You have to assume because it needs a different amount of centripetal acceleration at where the sun orbits and where the Mars orbits and where Venus and Jupiter orbits, they all need a different amount of magical centripetal acceleration. due to the rotating universe. They all need this, right? So as the spacecraft get farther away, it's got to deal with these massive amounts of different accelerations. And as you get farther out, I think, because at the sun's distance, you're at 4% of the speed of light in order for the tangential velocity. The tangential velocity is 4% of the speed of light at 150 million kilometers. At Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, you're past the speed of light. So we're going to, right? They don't think that relativity exists. So they don't think that the speed of light is a universal maximum speed. So they are okay with the tangential velocity of Uranus being more than the speed of light. They're okay with that. But also note that with that amount of velocity, the centripetal acceleration has to be more than 793 meters per second squared. I should probably just calculate them all. It's more. And so how does the Voyager probe? It doesn't, obviously. It can't. So it's no different. Geocentric globe, people like Assis and who's the goofball guy that was on the Tim Pool with Austin. What's that guy's name? I always forget because it's these. Anyway, that guy. I'm sure somebody will say it. It's a problem for all of them, and they don't want to think about it. They can't address it. They just invent things. You have to just invent things, and there's no evidence for it. No, it's not Wilson. I say, yeah. Okay, so look. I think it's funny. I think the name of that one planet is funny. And I think it's even funnier that all of the planets use the Latin name, except for the one planet that's funny uses the Greek name. I absolutely love that. But in order to keep myself from tittering like a schoolgirl while I'm talking, I say Uranus instead of Uranus. Mr. E-Man Original says, I would like to know what the asteroid belt is doing in the model. Well, the asteroid belt is similar in that they also have to have retrograde motion. Now, we don't see them in the sky as easily, so it hasn't been something that people for centuries have seen and plotted. But yes, they also will all need to have retrograde motion. And since it's a belt, if conceivably, if you could like plot all of them at the same time, they're all going to be in these loop-de-loops in order to be in the retrograde motion. So I don't know. And nobody helped me out with the guy's name. That is the one well-known geocentrist. He did that movie called The Principal, where he had Captain Janeway do the voiceover. That guy. What's his name? Did not Alex Stein? Alex was on there, yes. Anyway, Astrocade says, let's not ask Austin about Uranus. Yes, let's not. Bennett is one of them. But Bennett wasn't the one on Tim Pool. It was a different guy, but they have the same name. But Bennett is a geocentric glober, and his buddy had did the movie is like the Papa Flurf geocentric glober, not Wang. They do the ether cosplay bros do like Wang. They're a big fan of Wang. The guy, the name of the guy that was at St. Cloud State University, Wang. That did you think something else? Conspiracy Music Studio says, I joined late, but let me try to summarize. Boom. Geocentric AF. Pretty much. Let's see. All right. There's a new video and it rocks. I'm going to try to... can I get it? I can't. IC Spin. Can you get that and then download it and get it to me? Because I am not having success downloading it. It's probably because it's too new. We are all Golgafrinchians has just joined the stream. I thought WitSpit's believed in the egocentric universe. Well, yes, that's the other one. Robert Sungenis. Thank you, Max. And Hugh Jars and Zoomeray. So it's Robert Sungenis and Robert Bennett. And so Robert Bennett used to have a brain, and something happened. Maybe he had a stroke or something, and his brain went away. And so now he's a geocentrist. And Austin just can't get enough of these geocentrists. So let me just summarize this. Austin produced this model. He made this model. I'll link it again in the chat here and pin it. There it is. So there you can look at it. At probably what I'll do is I'll get on the Flurp wiki and I'll put some screenshots of the source code. So he has this. He's talking about how all of these things explain satellite orbits by inventing new assumed forces that don't exist, haven't been empirically confirmed, and are ways to explain the geocentric globe, right? And then he built this visual model, or he didn't build it. He had Claude build it. He didn't think it's Claude. He's unaware that Manus is Claude underneath. And then it shows, it internally computes everything as a globe, and then it just does a projection onto flat Earth. Well, if the Earth is flat, then a flat representation is not a projection. He put this toroid over it, which has no basis in reality. It doesn't match the magnetic field of how the flat Earth would look anyway, so it contradicts his own, not his, because his model is not the flat Earth anymore. It contradicts other flat earthers' model of the Earth. It contradicts this one. Let me just show you, right? Again, I can't stress this enough, how dumb flat earthers are. Right there, this dot here is about where the south magnetic pole is. And this dot here is about where the north magnetic pole is. So you wouldn't have a toroid like this. Let me see if I can get this right. Right, like that. You wouldn't have a toroid like that. You would have this bent toroid with the north pole here and the south pole here. You'd have this big curved thing. It wouldn't look at all like the map that he had. So I don't know if he's mocking flat earthers, because obviously that's wrong, and showing how dumb flat earthers are. If he's doing that on purpose, I don't know. Or if he's just dumb. Well, let's go with he's just dumb. So, all right, Icy Spin. He says, "Give me a second." So, there's a video that I want to play for the outro. It just came out before this went, and it's on YouTube, and it's a music video. And in order to play it, I want to download it, but I jump into 4K downloader and it doesn't get it. So 4K downloader can't get new videos. It doesn't use a method that works well for new ones. So, all right, he's typing. I'm going to see if I can get it. Otherwise, I'll just play it in a browser window, which isn't quite as good. But maybe I'll prep it while he's He's doing that. There we go. It is pretty good. It is pretty funny. Let's see. All right. You know what? This'll work. Oh my gosh. This will work. I'll use this. There you go. Reset. So, all right, reset transform. There we go. Good old Oakley. He's gonna mute you. That's his special skill. All right, looking good. All right. That will be the outro for it. Yeah, okay. Icy Spin can't get it either. So, anyway, Austin, congratulations on moving forward in your transition from Flat Earther to Geocentric Glober. I predicted that would happen in 2024. You got all upset about it. TFE got in the way. You had all that spitting fight with your wife and all that kind of, not wife, with Kai and all that. And now you're back and good for you, so that you can continue your transition to Geocentric Globe. I know that the Flat Earthers are not going to like it, but keep that little facade on it so that, you can bring them along a little bit, so maybe like Run Boston Bear will keep paying you $1,000 a month to pay your bills and stuff. Oh, he got it. You got it. Let me look here. It's downloading. It's coming. Oh yeah, we're gonna have it. We're gonna have it. Okay, well, good. That'll be better. So we go to here. OBS video switcher. Videos Oakley. Okay. Oh, WebM. All right, hold on. I got to do something. It'll cause a little chugging. I got to re-render it. All right, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with the YouTube one. Sorry. Thank you very much, Icy Spin. But I'll get it. I don't want to re-render because who knows how long it'll take. So this just came out today. This is from a channel called Jeffrey Epstein. I'll give you the link to it so you can all go and subscribe. I think the name is a little tongue-in-cheek. So everybody, thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate it. All 400 of you still sticking around. Austin, well done. Keep up the good work transitioning to Geocentric Globe. And everybody, will see you next time. I mean, I won't see you. You'll see me. I don't know why people say that. Anyway, here you go.
Sounds like cognitive dissonance to me, mate. No, you can fuck off. Gas, go down, go. Boom, boom, my friend. There's no downward bias, you insubordinate piece of shit. My greatness, I see right through their fakeness. If you watch my whole show, you deserve to be rewarded. It's like mental torture and being waterboarded. Gas, go down, go boom, boom. My friend, you better shut your mouth or it gets the hose again. my greatness, do you see? You are privy to my great becoming, do you see? I wrote this book, do you see? Roger stole my book, do you see? I'll make you wish you paid that $80 fee. I'm gonna break you, motherfucking break you. I'm gonna watch you crumble as I mentally rape you. Mentally rape you. Your mom, your daughter, anyone can get it. My trash talk is vile, nothing's off limits. I'm gonna mute you, motherfucking mute you. Have you watching horror as I verbally rape you? Verbally rape you. I'm the flat earth grim reaper, here to crush your soul. I'll make you wanna put your body inside that hole. Are you ready to be violated by gas? Open up wide and taste my sweaty nutsack. Lick my sweaty nutsack.
Oh, nasty. Stop.
I'd be a serial killer if it wasn't for flat earth. All day I fantasize about putting bodies in a hearse. The debates in my dungeon and my mouth is my knife. It's a mystery to this day how I have a wife. Give me what you got, and I bet you won't stump us before you can speak. I'll have you muted by rumpus. I'm insulting your dead dog. You ain't off the hook. Now get up and spend $80 on my book. Witness my greatness, do you see? You are privy to my great becoming, do you see? I wrote this book, do you see? Roger stole my book, do you see? I'll make you wish you paid that $80 fee. I'm gonna break you.
$80 fee.
I'm